Hey,
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 everybody.
hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, everyone out there. My name is David Massey, Regional Director for Movement Mortgage, and today I'm thrilled at the opportunity to have some guests on with us. We have Sam Klausner, runs marketing for our region. We have Deanna Reich, who runs the recruiting for our region. And we have Pauline Harris and Kason White as well. Pauline and Kason just recently joined us here at Movement Mortgage. And I've known Pauline for a long time. She's a legend down in our market and has always done phenomenal work and everything. One quick point, I just want to start out from the very beginning about Pauline. I was looking over some stuff even before this call, and when she describes herself on social media, the first thing she says is woman of faith. And, Pauline, you know how dear that is to my heart and everything. And the fact that you lead by being that person, then you put mortgage queen, I think is what you said at the very end of that, but you got your priorities right. So I was really thrilled about that. But wow, we got a lot of stuff to go over today. And so I kind of want to just ask Pauline and Kason a little bit, Movement Mortgage, we've been around here in Georgia for about 8 years. Tell us a little bit about what you had heard about Movement before. I know you had some relationships with Gina Spearman, our market leader, and stuff like that. What was it that drew you in to Movement Mortgage?
should I
Pauline,
go
you want to
first,
start?
Kason, or you want?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can go
I'll start.
first.
Okay,
Ladies
so
first.
okay, so 17 years in the industry, all in the same market. I've always been in Georgia. Um, I I met the one of the main reasons why I chose movement is because, like you mentioned, Gina Spearman. She's her reputation from with me goes a long way. I've worked with her for a long time in the past, so it was a breath of fresh air when she reached out. But I actually started looking into movement a couple of years before she even reached out. Casey did a video with Montel, a podcast about 2 years ago, back I think it was in 2019, and they touched on the marginalized, people and the initiatives and how he just wasn't even aware and how he just, wanted, but he didn't know how to fix it, but he wanted to do something about it.
Right.
So that is what caught my attention 2 years ago. I follow him on social media. I see how the initiatives going on that we have in Uganda, and I think we have a farm. I'm still learning all the different things we do. The school in North Carolina. I mean, I think for me it was like it's one thing to start that conversation. It's another to actually do, put the work behind it.
Mhm.
And I saw the work, so that was huge. So the underwriting, I'd heard all the great things about the underwriting here, and how I spoke with the underwriter here. We talked I drilled them. We talked for an hour and a half, and he didn't rush me. He answered all my questions.
Yeah.
Because I deal with a variety of clients, and I needed to be able to ask those tough questions. He answered every last one of them, and since I've been here, the underwriting has exceeded my expectations. So I'm very excited to be here. Kason.
Awesome. What about you,
Yeah.
Kason?
So for me, I'm big on timing and everything happened for a reason. And I don't know if you remember, David, but you actually, I think, reached out to me on LinkedIn. It was very casual, just, you were speaking and everything was just so, you asked me how everything was going. And so that's when I first heard about movement, when you first reached out to me, because, I started looking into it. And then me and Pauline been working together for about 4 years now. I think I want to say 4 years.
Yeah, going on 5.
And it was a time we felt that we needed to make a move, and she introduced me to movement, and I started kind of just doing some more research on it. And I was like, movement, the name kind of registered with me, and I'm like, I think that was the guy David that reached out to me on LinkedIn. So now, and when we talked, everything was just cordial, and I'm just big on timing and big on, it was like, okay, that was one indication that, hey, movement. Then now Pauline mentioned movement. It was like, okay, something is happening here.
Yeah.
And then when she introduced me to Gina, Gina gave me a call. Our conversation was about an hour. And everything, it wasn't just business. It was more because at the time I was having a baby. I was getting ready to actually sell my house, me and my wife. And everything just felt genuine. It wasn't like she was trying to shoot me a sales pitch or, hey, trying to make me realize why movement was the best. It was like, okay, how is your family? How's your wife? How's the process with you moving? And everything just felt so genuine. And it was a conversation that I had not had with companies that I was with for 2, 3 years. And here I am on a phone call for an hour with a company that I don't even work for yet. So that was for me the reason why I really wanted to make this move.
Great. I got one more question. So, you know, you guys, a lot of times when I talk to people, especially when they're thinking about movement or even to come on board, they've been following Casey for a long time, like you said earlier, Pauline, and everything. You guys got a chance to talk to Montel as well. And Montel leads our consumer direct division as well as some other stuff. But tell us a little bit about that conversation and Montel a little bit as far as where you feel like you can talk about things, like you said, Pauline, but until you take action, and Montel's been taking a lot of action for a long time. He's spoken at the NAMBA events. He's really, really strong in initiatives. And so tell us a little bit about that conversation, because I recall that call vividly.
Sure. So my first time speaking with Montel actually was before I came here. We spoke last year, and he shared, his compassion for what was happening in the market. We both, you know, it's hard to find people that are willing to have these types of conversations, and they that truly want to do something about it. And just to hear him and his passion and his knowledge, because I'm his I know I'm his senior. I'll never ask how old he was, but he's got so much knowledge and wisdom about the housing industry, and the what's happened over the years, and how far we've come, and how, and he even admits, we still have a long way to go. But I appreciated that there was a whole department dedicated to this initiative. And when I spoke with him, we spoke for a very, very long time. We talked about so much, and it's hard to contain in this one, video. But yeah, he's very passionate. He mentioned the school in North Carolina. He shared that with me. I was really excited to hear about the community center, which I cannot wait to go at some point. And just the grab the keys, that is powerful. That is a very powerful video. If anyone has not seen that, I highly encourage you to check out grabthekey.com. I think it's grabthekeys.com.
Yes.
But that video says so much impacted in just that short period of time. So in speaking with him, all of the different things that we have, coming down the pipe, eventually coming to Atlanta, I'm very excited about that. So he's very knowledgeable, very passionate, and definitely a lot of wisdom. And so again, our conversation was again probably an hour and a half. I don't know why it's always an hour or so, but we covered a lot, and I'm excited about what movement is doing to overcome those issues.
Awesome. Sam, Deanna?
Love it. Yeah, I have a few questions just to go off of kind of what you guys talked about, your whole transition here, and like how you were able to talk to so many people, how your conversations were so long. I know both of you guys, you haven't been here for too long, so this is kind of like fresh in your mind, but like, how was that transition here to movement? What made that seamless, if it wasn't seamless, if it was, and like how you're going to be able to grow your business based on transitioning here?
Yeah, I'll go first. I know for me, I came over with a couple loans. And anytime, you change companies, you automatically are nervous and anxious to learn the systems, get able to, have your license transferred over, and making sure that you can meet deadlines because, you have a contract date to close. So for me, Teresa and Brett, they was like really, really helpful. From day one, anything that I needed, any questions that I had, I know they took time out their day to make sure that I actually had what I needed. And I mean, I closed both loans in like 3 weeks tops. So for me, that was just major because they took a lot of pressure off of me from being nervous, making sure that I keep my relationships with my realtor partners. I didn't have to, deliver bad news to where, now my relationship is in jeopardy from losing that business, and I was able to keep that business, and they was very, very pleased about the transition. So it was awesome.
Love
And you
it.
ended up
Love to
getting
hear.
that. Yeah, Kason's being you can go ahead and mention that that loan got cleared to close. How quick?
Oh yeah, and literally, so yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. To be able to submit a loan and get an initial approval within 24 hours, that's major. That's huge. That's taking the pressure off, because that conversation with those realtors, like, hey, I'm changing companies, they automatically are freaking out. You're doing what? You're changing companies while we're on the contract. And it's like, so they're automatically freaking out at that thought alone. But when I put in that loan and I'm getting an initial approval within 24 hours, and I can send that email and saying, hey, just want to give you an update. We're already conditionally approved. The appraisal came back very, very quickly. I want to say it came back in like probably 4 or 5 days. So me able to give these updates, it kind of made them kind of like, okay, they can breathe, things are moving. So to be able to give a clear to close, I mean, I think I was 3 days before the closing date, I was able to give a clear to close. So that was amazing. Not to have those realtors blow me up. Hey, where we at on this? Where we at on this? Can you provide an update? And I was able to provide an update, and a good update every time. So it was amazing.
That's
How about you,
awesome.
Pauline?
Love it.
My first
Similar?
deal here, we actually, gosh, I'm really amazed at how fast we turned this deal around. This deal's not closing until the 16th. We were cleared to close on the 8th. Package was there yesterday. So, and this is a deal that the borrower was very loyal to me. We had a relationship, and so they came here. So same type of conversation, the realtors are all nervous about switching companies, and the borrower wants to go with you, and how's that going to work? And it was a builder, and so they were very nervous. But I mean, we got everything done quick. Like Kason, like you mentioned, we got our initial approval within 24 to 48 hours. Got the appraisal back within 5 business days. I mean, it was the smoothest transaction, and everyone felt it. Everybody, the attorney, everyone is excited that we have performed like this. So it made me look like gold. It made me feel a lot better because we have to create an impression that the realtors have to know that their clients are in good hands, and so that realtor trusted me, and for them to follow me here meant they already trusted me, but movement, for me to be able to trust their business with movement, I mean, we overperformed. So if as long as we continue to do that, I can't see us losing business at all. Right now in this market too, in case I'm sure you'll agree, it's extremely competitive. And so all the borrowers have to compete and find ways, how can I get my offer accepted? So I'm glad that I can tell my clients that you don't need 21 days financing contingency, a good 10 days, 7 to 10 days. And even that's being a little, modest, because we know we can get initial approval quicker than that. But the short contingencies help them. We don't need 45 to 60 days to close. We can still close in 30 days. So all of that is making my clients, and in case, and you probably agree, way, way more competitive in the market.
I agree.
Love to hear
One
that
question
stuff.
I have for y'all. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask one more, but if that follows up on that, go ahead.
Ask one more if it's connected to that, because the next question I have is kind of more towards projecting out to other loan officers.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I guess mine isn't really, but I'm going to ask anyway. So random, but you guys both had a relationship to Gina prior, or somewhat of a relationship to Gina prior to coming over here. So I was just going to ask, like, how has that relationship progressed since you've been over here? Like, what's your relationship with your market leader like? Do you guys talk a lot? Like, how is she there to support you guys throughout your day-to-day business?
You want me to go first on that one?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So Gina and I met in 2011 at a previous mortgage company, and we worked together about almost 5 years. And Gina has always been one of the most genuine, knowledgeable, always real smooth, real cool, always calm, collected. She always, I don't know, she's just extremely wise, and she usually has the answer. But if she doesn't, she'll get it. And Gina can do tough deals. Like, she can figure things out, like, and that's not, common in this industry. You see so many different types of buyer profiles, and she's very well versed in everything. So it's a good feeling when you have a market leader that's that knowledgeable and resourceful. So her integrity is something I have to speak on, because I feel like I can trust her. I know I can. I've trusted her before. She didn't let me down then. She was a wonderful leader, great example. She actually leads by example. Gina is she has mastered just, I've never met it. She was actually the first person that I met that really mastered her business. She had green hours. I learned so much from her. And actually, when we were talking and I'm making this decision to transition here, she marveled, because I was reminding her all these things I learned from her, the templates. I learned templates from her. Just so much that I learned from her over those years. So she's a great leader. She's a very good person. She's a woman of her word. She's dependable. If she says she's going to call me back, she always does. We talk about maybe 3 times a week. And that's usually just because she's checking in. It's not even anything wrong. She'll just call, hey, just checking in to see if you need anything. And it wasn't one of those situations, every company, when you make a transition, they promise everything to you. They tell you all the bells and whistles. She has delivered everything she said. You too, David. You both have been everything that I was told the company would be like. Nothing has, you were actually holding back, because it's more than you told me. And you've been so honest, and that goes a long way with me, because I lead with honesty too. I think that it's important to be able to make yourself vulnerable sometimes in leadership. And you guys have you nailed it. I feel like this is a place I will retire with. I have no, longevity is important to me, and I see that here for sure.
Yeah.
Before I ask my question, Kason, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, so I didn't know Gina prior to coming to Movement, but like I mentioned earlier, our first conversation, I felt like I've been knowing her forever. And just out of that first conversation, she know both of my kids' names. She called them by first name. How is Kobe? How is Kason doing? Like you said, Pauline, she check up, she follow up, she just checking in. And every time I have asked her to help with something, she jumped right on it. She responded to emails immediately. I never had to wait for her to respond, and a day went by. Everything, she jumped right on it, and I would say you all exceeded our expectation by far. So awesome.
Too bad Gina's not on here. She'd be blushing.
I was just thinking that.
Later. So the question I have is actually something to project out to other loan officers, because I speak to so many different people, so many walks of life. Some people have been doing mortgages for 20 plus years. Some people are brand new. And it's really interesting, because we can have someone that's been in the business for 2 years, blowing it out of the park, and then someone who's doing it for 22 years or just doing it mediocrely. And you guys have figured stuff out. You guys have really great production. You've been successful. So what was that small tweak that each of you made to make yourself go further faster? If you can kind of think back, okay, here's this one little habit change that I did that made you more successful as a loan officer.
I can say for me, because I'm a producing branch leader. For me, my systems, there's a coaching here that I absolutely am excited about. I hope I can mention that real quick. My coach, Edwin, is amazing. We talk about my goals, and, as a branch manager, and as my plans, and everything is something that I can execute. So I think that has been helpful. The coaching, definitely, because they can actually find little things that you don't realize that you can tweak about yourself. Sometimes on the outside looking in, I guess it's an amazing thing. That's probably what makes them such good coaches. But that coaching piece was key. Also, the support. A lot of companies want loan officers, especially big producing loan officers. And they tell you that, oh, you're going to do great here. You're going to do wonderful. Oh, we'll give you an LOA. but they don't tell you truly how they intend to support you. They just want your business.
Mhm.
And so to me, I felt like when I got here, everybody jumped in. Okay, Pauline has this many leads. I need you to jump on that. I mean, everyone was supportive, hands on deck. And, you know, it, to me, that means a lot because again, you know, that shows that you appreciate me and you appreciate my clients and you appreciate the business that I'm bringing. So to me, again, the coaching and definitely the support is what made the difference for me.
For me, I would say, and I watched a video on Facebook from us, and I heard, I forgot his name, but he's one of the top producers. But he mentioned that he's a loan advisor more than just a loan officer. So for me, one thing I have done that changed is I get that initial conversation to the borrower. We talk about everything. So even if they don't use me, they will remember that I gave them advice. I helped them understand the mortgage process, what it takes to obtain a loan. Um, and building that relationship, having that 30-minute call, 35-minute call up front, that experience for the borrower, they remember that. It's not, I'm trying to rush them off the phone. You know, I'm not trying to sell them a deal. I'm presenting them with options. I'm also educating them on home buying process. And now, even if they go somewhere else, they can always remember Kason helped me. Because I have actually had, you know, helped quite a few people who end up doing new construction, and maybe that, you know, lender was offering them something that, you know, my previous company wasn't able to provide. And even if they went that different route, they still recommended other business to me. So yeah, I might have lost that particular loan, but that 30-minute conversation that we had was able for me to grow my business by them telling other people, hey, you need to call Kason. He's going to explain this to you. He's going to break it down. He's going to make it to where you can understand and not just speak mortgage terms and just throw these big terminologies out on you to make him seem smart, make you seem like you don't know what you're talking about. So that's one thing that I feel I have done in my personal, you know, life to help me. And also, like Pauline mentioned, the support. I mean, you can have an LOA, you can have systems, you can have processes in order, but if the people who are helping you are not all on the same page, then what does those processes and systems? They don't mean anything. So for me, everybody has just been helpful. Everybody, you know, want to see you succeed. They're, you know, everybody's, you know, want to see you do good. So the people that we have here at Movement, for me, is helping me grow, because everybody is on that same page. Everybody wants to win. Everybody is helpful. So for me, that's what's done it for me.
I got one more question,
And then I'll wrap up after.
and then we'll
Because
wrap
you guys
up.
have been awesome. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
joining us.
No problem.
So I worked for some big companies such as you guys have as well in the past. But one thing I really did not appreciate until I got here was culture. Culture probably today is probably the number one thing I enjoy about Movement Mortgage. Yes, we do mortgages. Yes, we do them well. Yes, we gave away $200 million in profits last year and are going to do a lot of great work in 2021 with that money. But the culture here of love and value in people, once again, it's a nice little tagline, sounds great. But anybody that knows Casey, anybody that knows Montel, anybody that knows Mike Brennan, anybody that knows Gina Spearman type people, it's something we live and breathe here. And I just, once again, I know I'm kind of setting this up and I don't mean to, but I mean, I want what they see in Charlotte at headquarters to be the same as what they see here in Atlanta. And I'm asking both of you guys always to kind of help foster that here. And so have you noticed, I'm not saying any other companies are bad or good or indifferent that we worked for in the past. There's a lot of great companies out there. What I am saying though is that, is there something special you see? And hopefully you guys will help us keep that torch lit down here in Atlanta to
Yeah.
keep that culture going.
No, I think that just piggyback what I was just trying to say, the culture. Everybody here is on that same page to give that customer the great experience. Everybody want to help people obtain a home and give them a good experience. On top of that, treat them well. And by everybody jumping in, um, the processor, the LOAs, they're all helpful. And it's not just for the loan officer to make a lot of money. That also helps that customer have a great experience when buying a home. So the culture for me is awesome. I tell people all the time, you know, don't nobody really care about the name of the company who did my loan. Hey, this company, I got a mortgage with this company, and this company, who did you get your mortgage with? I got mine with this one, so I'm better than you. No, people care about how was I treated? Did they help the experience be well? Did I have, competitive interest rates? Did they explain to me all the options that I had? Did I close in a timely fashion? Those are the things that they care about, not the name of the company. So I think that was a great question, but yeah, the culture here is awesome. Awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. I actually have to really say that the culture here is something I have not seen in this industry in a long time. Um, I was talking with the Nate earlier today, and we actually talked about this, the culture, because you can't really teach culture. You can coach a lot of things. You can coach, underwriters, if they get something, they miss a mark, or if a salesperson, loan officer didn't put a loan together right, you can coach that. You really can't coach just culture. And how we managed to get this many good people with good spirits, good personalities, just really, to me, that means that really, if given the opportunity, everybody really wants to be nice, be kind. And if really being in an environment where love is truly fostered, everyone will eventually adapt to that. So it starts from the top down. I definitely think that Casey has set the bar very, very high. But all the people that are here, I mean, David, you've got a reputation. I spoke with someone else that just not too long ago that's worked with you before, and they couldn't stop speaking about how great of a person you were, and a genuine, just a great person. And so to me, I have to give an example. There was a situation with an underwriting condition. And, in my previous life, if,
Yeah.
you ask that underwriter, hey, I don't agree with this, you might get your head bit off. But it went over like water. I mean, I was like, wait, remember Kason? I was like, how did that happen? Like, how did I reach
Yeah.
out to the
Yeah.
underwriter? And we actually talked about the condition. And it went over like water. There was no hostility. Nobody was angry. Nobody felt, there was no power struggle. It was truly just a can-do attitude. And okay, yep, I see how that makes sense. We'll remove that condition. So again, to me, that shows me that, for these underwriters and the processing team and leadership to all be on the same page, all treating each other kind. I haven't had one curt email since I've been here. Now, I've been here long enough that I should have had at least one by now, not one. So again, the culture here, it's defined by the works. Like I said earlier, we don't just, we're not just, it's not just a hashtag, like you mentioned,
Right.
is we actually do the work here. So the culture to me is unmatched in our industry right now.
Thank you for that answer. I mean, the one thing I can't wait for you guys to experience, and I know you probably already are, is I've always worked for a paycheck. I've always worked for my family. But knowing what we're doing with that $200 million this year to work for a higher cause that's bigger than you, bigger than your family, the joy and satisfaction that I hear from numerous loan officers throughout this company saying, it's such a fulfilling thing knowing we have a Uganda farm. We have this, we have that, we have schools. Casey wants to build 100 schools in the next 10 years across America. It's not that he wants to, he will.
Wow.
Right? He will. And most of these schools are going to be built in marginalized areas. So long story short is that knowing that we've gone 100 miles an hour this past 12 months since March of last year, right? It's been a nonstop, just fast lane. And there's a lot of people exhausted, but knowing that you're doing something that's going to impact so many people's lives outside your own family is just such an overwhelming feeling that I just, I can't wait for you guys to start feeling that. And then I want others to come on board here at Movement Mortgage so they can experience that as well. So any final thoughts from you or Sam? Deanna?
Yes. Oh, I'm going to wrap it up, but I'm excited, guys. for life to get back to normal, so then maybe we can all like go on a mission trip or something together, because
Agreed.
years. But I'm just gonna wrap this up with one final question, a little more fun than the other questions we've asked you guys. If I know you've both been in the business a different amount of years, so I know the answer is gonna be different from both of you. But if there was one thing you could have told yourself when you started the business that you wish you knew now, what would you have told yourself?
Besides come to movement first. Go ahead.
That's what I said
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
I already said it. I'm like, well, they've been around 17 years, but I would have said go to movement. You go first, Kason. That's a big one for me.
For me, being, I'm still pretty young in the industry. I've been in the mortgage industry for probably 6 years, but I just got I got my license 2 years ago, but I think I jumped out and just started being a loan officer probably last year, around March. So for me, just not being afraid, just jump out there, and you're gonna bump your head here and there. You're gonna make some errors. You're not gonna be perfect. I think my biggest flaw was I always thought I had to be perfect, and so thinking that I was afraid. So for me, just take that leap of faith. Don't be afraid. Jump out there and try. And if you mess up, get up, dust yourself off, and keep going. So that's me.
No doubt.
I would say remember your why. Because sometimes it's easy to become so transactional. You're caught up in the everyday today, and get the loan closed on time, and you're only focused on the loan and the timing. And even if that client is important to you, you're still focused on the transaction. And the why I got in this industry was really because I wanted to help people. I didn't find the mortgage industry, it sort of found me. And because I had such a passion to help people. And I would say just, always do what's right, no matter what, always do the right thing. And be okay if that means you can't work there anymore. Be okay if, you lose a partnership. Just do what's right, because I feel good knowing that every client I have served over the past 17 years feels like, you know what, I know I got a good experience with Pauline. I know she cared. There's not too many people, if any, you'll ever talk to that's worked with me and said, she didn't care, I was just a number. The best advice I would have given myself, and I feel like I came into the industry with that already, not to try to blow my own horn, but I really kind of, I make good choices, but I really, and I think very hard about those choices. I always search within myself, and I rely heavily on my faith to make sure that I'm doing right by people, even if that means losing the deal. So yeah, I'm sorry, that's the best way I can explain it, is just, do what's right no matter what.
No,
Can I say something real quick?
Hopefully people made it this far, because both of your advice I feel like people could benefit from.
Yeah. No,
But what were you gonna say?
And I just want to say something real quick. Pauline just brought up, she just made me think of something like remembering your why. And, me being born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, going to all inner city APS schools, a lot of public schools. Where I'm from, a lot of people don't think home ownership is possible. And so speaking of the culture for movement, my why is to help people where I'm from obtain home ownership. And so that when you just say remember your why, that's my why. Just being able to help friends and family members and people I went to school with obtain home loans. Actually, one of them I went to school with, my first loan here, I went to school with her, and she has an amazing house. But just that just sent so many chills through my body. Even helping a guy that I grew up with, we met in the 6th grade. I remember I helped him get his loan, and he was like, I never thought in a million years I would ever own a house. So being able to help him, it just does something to me. So I just had to say that because I heard Pauline say, you remember your why. So that's my why. So awesome.
I don't know
Thank you for
about you,
sharing.
Sam or Dan. I'm excited about this. When
Me
Gina
too.
told me she was talking to you guys, I was just like, oh, wow, this is going to be big. And I knew where Casey's heart is. I've been hearing Casey talk about making some changes, right? We've got to change the way this industry looks at some things. And whether that's through guidelines, whether it's whatever, we've got to open up opportunities for a lot more people to get a mortgage. And so when Gina was telling me about you guys, I was just like, wow, this is going to be one of the biggest pivotal moments here locally here in Georgia, where I was born and raised as well, for us to make a huge impact. So a lot of pressure on you too. Not trying to put it there, but
A lot.
We're ready.
together
We're
with
ready.
Gina and everything else, we're gonna make some changes here. So
Yes. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. And hopefully everybody made it through this, because there's not a minute of this that I don't think would benefit someone from listening
Oh.
to. So I know I learned a lot, and it's always fun for us to meet
2
different loan
pages.
officers. Well, Deanna, are you going to give us a presentation after this?
Probably.
I know, right?
Probably see some videos come out on y'all, just like, yes.
Yeah, guys, we're going to have some great stuff going out on you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we really, really appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
See you
Thank you
guys.
all. I
Thanks, guys.
appreciate you.